Hello and welcome to the very first episode of WorkWhys. I'm your host, Janet, and together we're going to dive deep into the wild and wonderful world of the modern workplace. We're going to touch on experiences, challenges, and opportunities. You know, I've spent most of my adult life working in government, social services, corporate, and so trust me, I've seen it all. This podcast is particularly for everyone out there, whether you're a seasoned pro in the workplace or just curious about how to make your life a breeze at work. Did you know we spend a jaw-dropping 1,976 hours a year at work? That's nearly a quarter of our lives. So let's make the most of that time that we spend at work, because it does affect everything we are, including our personal lives. So today, we're going to touch on a topic that relates to us all. It's about feeling invisible at work, or feeling like a ghost, or feeling like you don't exist in that workplace. Just a question. Have you ever felt like you're just floating around your workplace? Like your voice is a whisper in a thunderstorm and your contributions vanish into thin air? Do you feel your opinions or voice don't matter? You're not alone. Do you sometimes think it's just you? Or maybe you're worried about speaking to your managers or supervisors or people around you. What if it backfires if you talk about it? Well, let's take a deep breath, because again, you're definitely not alone. Research shows over 60% of employees have reported feeling invisible at work, either through their networks or through their employee assistance programs. So today we'll explore the impacts of feeling unseen, what causes it, and most importantly, how to reclaim your presence. Remember, I'm not an expert. I'm just here sharing what life has taught me. And gosh, it's been a good teacher. So stick around, because at the very end, I'll share some links for resources and support options. All right, let's jump into it. In this section, we'll talk about understanding the feeling. So what does it mean to feel like a ghost or invisible at work? Some have said it often manifests as feelings of isolation or frustration or anxiety. There might be a feeling of unworthiness, or feeling like you don't know what you're doing, or perhaps you're not a good employee. Particularly after COVID, a lot of people have felt so isolated in their workplaces, and they've reported finding themselves sometimes in meeting where their ideas are like tumbleweeds blowing right past everyone, or that they're really working hard on a project, but when it comes to presenting fantastic ideas, it ends up being used by someone else without a nod, or completely being forgotten about. And let's not forget the times you muster up the courage to ask the question, but you get met with a shrug or a dismissive wave. I don't know about you, but sometimes I have felt demotivated when this has happened to me, to the point where I've become disengaged, and this has impacted on the way I do my work. So I just want to share a little funny story. One time during a meeting, someone actually asked, "Is there a ghost in the room?" I raised my hand to respond, only to realize I hadn't unmuted myself on the Teams. Anyway, it's alright. It's just a sign that I've been there. I have had some experience with this. So, what are some of the impacts of feeling invisible? So there is evidence within the HR field. It shows that when employees feel unseen, it can lead to emotional distress. It also can lead to decreased job satisfaction and even mental health struggles. Mental health is such an important part of being a productive employee, so it is important for us to talk about this. A lot of people around me have told me that in their workplaces, they often work their magic on life-changing projects and deliver amazing results, working late, outside of normal hours, doing things outside of their own workloads, but they never get the credit. Often goes to someone else, or to another team, or to someone who's more outspoken than them. It's really shattering to hear that this is happening to many people in many workplaces. And a lot of people have then since decided to move to other workplaces but have reported that they continue to experience this. It makes people feel deflated and question their worth when organizations don't acknowledge people. And in all honesty, we all crave some validation. It's not about the seeking recognition, but getting the acknowledgement we deserve. So these situations may not be intentional in other situations, but the cumulative effects are immense and detrimental to many workplaces. So when these moments happen, a lack of visibility can seriously hurt a team and its dynamics. When team members feel overlooked, collaboration takes a nosedive. It also can create a toxic work culture where nobody feels motivated to engage or to contribute to anything in that workplace. And it leads to more people calling in sick or not wanting to be in that workplace. What's behind these feelings of invisibility? There is a few things that we can touch on, such as poor communication. So poor communication and not speaking openly can contribute to people feeling invisible. So picture being given an important project with unreasonable deadlines and lack of information. That can leave you feeling anxious. And when you get things wrong, you may then feel overlooked because you weren't given the right tools to complete this project. And one of the most important things that a lot of people have spoken about is toxic work environments, where leadership often overlook the needs and contribution of employees, making invisibility feel even worse. And the final one I wanted to talk about was the demographic factors, where certain folks like introverts and people from diverse backgrounds may feel acutely affected by this due to biases in the workplace. People from culturally diverse backgrounds in particular, as I identify as a person from a culturally diverse background, often feel less confident in expressing themselves in dominant language in the workplace, which can sometimes hinder effective communication of their concerns. And their cultural norms around hierarchy, respect for authority, and the perception of speaking up, which can vary significantly. In some cultures, it is actually considered disrespectful to openly challenge authority and to voice personal concerns in a group setting. As a result, there might be a fear of negative consequence or reprisal for speaking out, especially in work environments where there is perceived lack of support or retaliation is a concern. So individuals will then feel the pressure to assimilate into this culture, which then includes adopting being silent about feeling invisible in the workplace. That is such a sad thing. So they may be not aware that, navigating this is important for their own well-being and own development and own work styles. So the perceived lack of support from colleagues or management will then make things worse for them, and the outcomes for them might be not as favorable as everyone in the workplace. So I just wanted to really encourage people from culturally linguistic backgrounds to start challenging themselves to voice concerns in a way that feels comfortable. And that gives us a nice segue into the solutions and strategies. While we have touched on the negative things that may cause workplace invisibility, we'll now touch on solutions. So what are some of the solutions? The change starts with you. And here are some practical tips. So one of the most important tips is networking. You have to network. You have to be engaged with people in your workplace. You have to build rapport with your peers, because they're the only people that will support you in that workplace. Not only does this help you to grow, but it also boosts your visibility. If you're starting from scratch, beginning to build relationships is so important with colleagues. Start by asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions or to find strategies in which you can communicate effectively, and particularly targeting those with louder voices. You need to invest time in building relationships and getting to know your coworkers and establishing meaningful relationships that will help you move forward. And also share your thoughts openly. And if you don't know how to, there is many online resources on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, where you're taught about these things, how to gain confidence in speaking up for yourself. And I also encourage you to speak to your direct supervisors about adopting recognition programs and mentorship programs that can then help you with opportunities to grow in your own workplace. We spend a lot of time in our workplaces, and they need to be valuable places where we feel supported and where we enjoy going back to. You don't want to be dreading that Sunday evening, because workplaces can be a really good place to grow and to become and to be impactful. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. And to wrap it up, if you have been feeling like a ghost and work is challenging for you, it doesn't have to be permanent. By understanding the impacts and acknowledging the causes and implementing these practical solutions, we can all work together to a more inclusive and engaging workplace environment. I encourage you to keep challenging yourself to seek more strategies in relation to feeling invisible. Also, I invite you to share your stories on our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, WorkWhys The Podcast. Let's create a supportive community where we can all reclaim our visibility. Join us for our next episode, where we dive deep into work styles. Why is it important and crucial for workplaces to recognize people's unique work styles? I think you will enjoy this episode, as it will show you the opportunities that are there for you as an employee. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of WorkWhys. If you found our discussion valuable, please subscribe, like, or follow us. Thanks to the amazing production team. We really appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you again in our next episode, and hopefully we'll bring some amazing guests for you. Until next time, remember, your voice matters and you are not alone on this journey. Thank you.